8th on the grid, 9th the Dunbrec Westbrook car. Peter starts the race. Andrea Piccini in the Aston Martin starts 10th. Jan Claret had an off this morning in the warm-up. Lionbergen on next door to him, coming back into their second event this year. Michael Krum 13th on the grid, pretty poor for them. Pastorelli 14th, then Den Boer and Kennard on the 8th row of the grid, and at the back we've got Piccioni and Bernoldi. Now Bernoldi, just to explain that quickly, the Nissan went off in the hands of Nicky Katzberg yesterday morning, and they didn't actually get the car out for qualifying at all.
No, they didn't. There was a damage to the front of the car, quite severe damage, but they got it finished. But of course, Enrico Bernoldi, basically, almost, not literally, almost a stranger to this circuit, having not had a chance to qualify. So the field coming up, turn 13, 14, the penultimate corners before this race gets underway.
Yeah, and we're on this, as you say, 2.4 kilometre track. The cars just making their way around, getting themselves into formation as they come out of the final corner, and we go racing here at Golden Port, and it is the pole car that gets away. Now, watch the first corner. It's pretty tight. It's going to be very easy in these conditions to make a mistake, and some people hanging back a bit at the back of the field, sensibly seeing where the space is. But the Ford leads. Good start by Bertrand Baguette. He's made the break over the two Aston Martins, which are chasing on, and the Lamborghini behind.
Well, the onboard camera shot, some of them just don't see anything, the fog.
Oh.
That's contact coming out of turn 4, that's the tight hairpin bend, then through the double right 5 and 6. Most people being relatively cautious. Nicky Katzberg, the car 20. He's out, in fact, Enrico Bernoldi in the car. He's made up one position. But really, for some of these drivers, first experience in racing conditions in the wet.
Good battle for fourth between Marcus Winkelhock and the Lamborghini, and then the Team China Corvette, which has got Nico Verdonk at the wheel. On board here with Michael Krum's car. That car starting way down at the back of the field after Lucas Luhr went off in qualifying, but I think it's already made a few places on this opening lap.
Yeah, well, Michael Krum was the star of the warm-up this morning, quickest consistently lap by lap, so he is familiar with track conditions. Although the rain has been falling steadily, nevertheless, he is probably the most confident driver out there.
Coming around to complete the first lap then, let's see what it is. It's Bertrand Baguette leading from Darren Turner and Alex Muller. Then Marcus Winkelhock, Nico Verdonk, followed by Bas Leinders, Chris Nygaard, and these followed by David Brabham. Let's just see, Michael Krum has come round in 11th place, so good first lap by Michael Krum. As you say, he carried speed in the warm-up this morning, and he's managed to gain a few places on the opening lap. So the championship leading car is in a position to perhaps score points as we go through the day. Remember, more points on offer for the second race, the championship race, but Michael Krum working towards that even at this early stage.
So gradually drivers becoming familiar. Not too much standing water, a little bit there you see coming into turns 8 and 9, but not affecting the racing line. The overall grip of this racetrack actually is very high. It's been recently resurfaced, so there's a lot of grip, mechanical grip for the drivers. They're not struggling as we have often seen in the past with either flooding on the track, standing water, or a low grip surface.
No, that's right. The drivers that we spoke to after this morning's warm-up who did get out in it were quite impressed by the grip levels and by the fact that there wasn't too much standing water, so they can drive the cars quite hard despite the wet conditions. You're riding on board here with Marcus Winkelhock. He sits in 4th place in the Lamborghini, and what a chance this is for Winkelhock and Basseng to close up that 12-point gap in the championship table for the Drivers' Championship over Michael Krum and Lucas Luhr. But as we say, Michael Krum got up to 11th at the end of that first lap, hasn't gained any more yet. He's actually behind teammate Peter Dunbrec now, so the two JRM Nissans, there they go, running together, the black and red Nissan GTRs running together on track. Dunbrec losing out a little bit on the start, whereas Michael Krum was able to gain ground. We go back on board with Marcus Winkelhock. He's got the two Aston Martins right ahead of him.
Yeah, further back, David Brabham trying to make a move on Christopher Nygaard in the Ford GT.
The leader's gone off! The leader has gone off. Bertrand Baguette is in the gravel.
And that's done at turn 8, and that car is not going anywhere. Maxime Martin there, you look, his points hope absolutely shattered, and apparently there was no reason. It's just a driver error. Bertrand Baguette got it wrong into turn 8 in fact it is. There will be a safety car because that car cannot be removed from that particular part of the racetrack. The gravel traps here particularly soft. If you go into them, you're not coming out without outside assistance.
Aston Martin now lead with the Ford having gone off of Bertrand Baguette. The super sub has made a mistake in the opening laps here. John, let's see if we can see what he did.
Round turns 5. Then, I'm out of 6 into 7, just gets it wrong on the brakes, locks it up, slides sideways, can do nothing. There's so little grip once you lose control of the car, and once he's in the gravel trap, that is it over. Look, you can see the faces on the Ford Mark VDS team. They know that the potential maximum points for the qualifying race have gone, and the Lamborghini done the same, but luckily the rear wheels are still on the track. He may well be able to get that car reversed if he can find reverse gear.
That's Benjamin Lohenberger in the number 47 car. He goes forwards, that's risky.
Mistake.
No.
The wrong thing to do, reverse. He's got reverse gear now, but can he get the traction? Because only one of those two
wheels...
I
think he's all right. I think he's okay. He's going to get out of it. Let's take a look at what happened here.
Oh, well, was it a help or was it a self-induced spin? I'm not sure. There may not have been contact.
That was Dumbreck and Krum just behind him in the two Nissans. So whether there was contact or not, Ernie's... Well, has he got... Yeah, he is going. A bit of gravel still down.
But watch for the gravel on the racetrack. Wave yellow flags. Pretty much a station will now be having safety car deployed.
Yeah, safety cars out on circuit. So you've got the two Aston Martins leading. It's Darren Turner leading over teammate Alex Muller in the two young driver cars. Then you've got Marcus Winkelhock, who's been handed third as a result of that Ford going off. Nico Verdonk is in fifth place. Fourth place. Leinders fifth. Nygaard sixth. But already real drama here as Bertrand Baguette. Remember, he's a super sub. Fred Makovicky, the regular in that Ford GT, took the victory with Martin last week. But in these tricky conditions, first time, remember, he's ever even driven that Ford GT in the rain, and he's gone and locked up. And then we saw this other incident. Hard to see how that began.
Well, I'm not sure whether it was a sort of the second of the two Nissans, which would have been. Not sure was that the Krum car. There's the Aston. This is further behind. You can't quite see whether one of those Nissans, the lead of the two, clipped the back of the Lamborghini under braking, which forced it into the spin, into the gravel, but it's out. But it is the leading Ford GT car of Bertrand Baguette, an unforced error into turn 8, and all hopes for Maxime Martin to take points, but more crucially to get that pole position for the start of the championship race on Sunday, where you get a much bigger 25-points haul.
Yeah, well, it's Krum behind Dumbreck. If there was contact there, I guess it was with the first of those two.
The first, but Krum was right on the gear, on the tail of that sister car. So I think maybe it was a small contact between the Lamborghini and the Peter Dumbreck Nissan.
No sign of that Ford being towed out of the gravel yet. So we've still got safety car out. There it is, leading the field around. And we saw a quick shot a moment ago of the team owner of the two Aston Martins that are leading. Why is that Nissan pulling right out of the way there? That's David Brabham.
Yeah, he's putting him out, just assuming he decides he wants to get as much water and keep the wet weather tyre cool. Not that the racetrack is showing any indications of a drying line, but nevertheless, experience, many years, just keep the babies cool.
Yeah, still a long way to go in the race as you see the clock ticking away in this 1 hour race. We're down to just under 53 minutes. And as ever, the pit window will open up 25 minutes into the race distance for the driver and tyre changes, but we're some way off that yet. But there is the Ford GT that had a comfortable lead. He did a great first lap, but then that little tiny error, it looked like just under braking, locked up a little bit, and Bertrand Baguette is out of the race. There's Stefan Mucker, who sees his car leading in the hands of Darren Turner. He won't be too upset to have seen the Ford go off.
No, I mean, it's been a gift for Darren Turner and for Stefan Mucker, but don't count your chickens. There we see Bertrand Baguette bedding back, and you can see how deeply the car is buried in the gravel. When they try to tow that car out, it will literally act as a shovel and drag many, many kilograms or pounds of gravel back on. Just watch, we saw this earlier. Now there it goes. It's a bow wave of gravel, and that's going to get dragged onto the racetrack, right onto the exit of turn 9, and all the way across the exit of the corner. Now he's being towed onto the grass. This was a recommendation during the morning warm-up, particularly when Jan Clary went off in the Belgian Racing 4 GT. That car is not being towed back to the pits. It's going to be left, hopefully, in a safe area on the inside of the exit of turn 9.
Yeah, well, it says car 41 might be allowed to rejoin to come back to the pits on our timing screen, but they're being the team manager is effectively being told, make sure you tell your driver to stay off the racing line so we don't get stones all over the place.
The point is that the car can't take part in the event. It's out of the event because it's had outside assistance. And I think what they're trying to explain on screen is that the car should be removed to somewhere where the gravel isn't going to, in effect, come into play, but it will be on the exit of turn 9 as it was dragged diagonally across to the inside of the circuit.
So leaders have a chance to just sort of settle in and just find out where they are, how they survived those first few laps. as we see that it's the two Aston Martins, the two young driver cars that are leading the way at the moment. But poor Maxime Martin seeing his car go out of the lead. Let's go down. Haley is right there with him.
Max, a disappointing start there for Bertrand. The Ford GT got the better of him. Is he going to be getting the car back out there, or is he just simply helping the marshals bring the car back in?
No, he will get the car until the garage. We'll see what's going on. We're going to work on it for the second race. Something happens, it's like this, but disappointed.
Thank you.
Well, he's got back already. In fact, there we are, and he's going to have to explain himself. But a lot of pressure on Bertrand Baguette this weekend, John. And, well, first time out in the wet in the car. I don't know if he got any laps in the warm-up. He may, like some of the others, have missed out really on doing any laps this morning.
Well, I think he did, and he only got was his out lap. He may have been able to do a lap through the pits and do another lap there. You can see the frustration, obviously. Frustration for himself, but frustration for the team.
Well, there is Bertrand going over. He's so upset, so cross, you can understand
Can you
it.
tell us what happened?
I don't know whether he's going to...
The gearbox went in neutral. The gearbox went in neutral, and then when I put first gear in, the car gave me a kick, but I don't know what happened. The gearbox went in neutral. It's not normal.
Oh, so
Thank you.
Gearbox went into neutral, John, he's saying, and that's what called him out.
Yes, I mean, if you lose the benefit of the retardation from the gearbox, as well as the braking, and in the wet you use the gearbox to help the braking quite a lot, maybe more so than you would do in the dry, and therefore if he didn't have that assistance, he was harder on the brakes to slow the car down, and of course then the brake will lock up, and once he was into that situation there was nothing he could do.
Let's take a look at the start once again. He got a good start, did Baguette, and then you had the two Aston Martins running side by side. They were fairly careful there, and in fact I was impressed with everybody through the first turn because it's a tightening corner.
Yes, it was a clean start by everybody. I mean, in difficult circumstances, some of the drivers not having had any contact. Well, look, you can see
there was a bit of touch there.
There was,
yeah.
yes, from the Marcus Winkelhock and back of the Darren Turner car, and down into turn 4, very, very tight. The other Aston on the outside, Alex Miller, falls in line behind that sister car.
That was tight, wasn't it? That was really tight. Look how wide. Ooh, that was interesting how wide the Ford had gone down to that first hairpin. And then you saw, this is the onboard view of what happened to Baguette. Well, it did actually, I think it did go to neutral.
It did go to neutral, actually. It looks like it went neutral, then he got to push it again, he got first gear. This was a little bit later on that lap. So he did have a problem that confirmed on screen that the car would appear to have found neutral when it should have found first gear. He had to go for it again, but by which time he was into literally hunting out the gravel.
Yeah, interesting. You can see on the data logging screen it went to 0 rather than 1 for first gear. So certainly Bertrand Baguette having a problem on the down change.
This is where you'd like a pair of good screen washers on your race car, because a lot of muck on the screen of the lead Aston Martin, Darren Turner. And of course, that's for the back with the Hexus Aston.
Well, Stefan Mucker will be looking forward to taking over the car from Darren Turner later on. Let's go and hear from him now.
Stefan, Darren and Alex are currently sat 1-2. Will they race each other?
I think the key thing is to stay on track in the moment. As you can see, it's very difficult outside. Many mistakes, and the key thing is stay on the track, and I think that's what they want to do, both.
Thank you.
Yes, I think that's the key thing at this point. I mean, it's such a narrow, tight, twisty little circuit. There's the team boss, team owner, and I'm sure he's quite happy, but he looks a bit nervous at the moment because it's still very early stages in this race.
Yes, with 47 minutes remaining, and within 12 minutes the pit lane will actually be open. But that's the issue I was talking about. Darren Turner has not got great visibility. There's always the concern about putting your wiper on, because you might actually drag more dirt onto your windscreen and might get a smear rather than get a clear windscreen. Still clearing the stones away. That was from the Ford number 41, the lead car, being dragged back onto the track, so getting all the gravel. That was almost like a bow wave when it came back onto the circuit.
Yeah, and as we've seen, these gravel tracks are very soft and quite big stones as well, so it does have a very effective way of stopping the car from hitting the barriers.
Damage to the Den Boer car in 14th place, the second of the Corvettes. There you can see it, the left-hand side, and of course that car being driven by Jerome Den Boer, who got into trouble on the opening lap in order. So the left front of that car suffering relatively heavy damage, but not having any impact. No body rub on the tyres so far.
No, but it's the car he shares with Ho Pin Tung, the Chinese driver, who again didn't get any laps himself this morning in the warm-up because of the way the session was stopped under red flag for Jan Claire's spin. umbrellas, are they coming down or going back up again?
I think he must have bought that one down in the silk market in downtown Beijing. It isn't the real thing.
It's not even that windy today. We've hardly got any breeze, so I do hope it hasn't been blown inside out. Stefan Mucker waiting to see, everyone anxiously waiting to see when the safety car is going to be coming back in. I don't think it's going to be long now because the clear-up operation is going on, but definitely a few people getting some more hoods over them. Looks as though the rain might be coming down a little bit more once again. Still plenty of time to go in this race.
Well, there's not a breath of wind anywhere, and the rain's just the clouds hanging over the circuit, and it's just falling vertically. So racetrack is not indicating it's going to dry up. There we see now some of the Hexus Puccini's car giving a quick wipe, and that's the danger. If you haven't got enough water on the screen, you get a smear.
Yeah.
And
that can be quite difficult. You're on board the number 21 Nissan here of David Brabham. His wiper's working effectively.
Yeah, and that's an effective wiper. I mean, it really...
But the rain is definitely coming down again.
So Darren Turner still is always getting it going now.
It is working. I wondered for a moment whether his wiper would stop, but no, it's okay. He is. And here we go. The safety car peels in, and it is Darren Turner who now leads from teammate Alex Muller. Aston Martin 1 and 2 as they go across the line, but look, the Lamborghini of Marcus Winkelhock's right in there chasing. So is Nico Verdonk in the Corvette, and Verdonk loves these tight, twisty tracks. We saw his pace in a bit of a one-off outing he had at Navarra earlier on this year when he drove with Mike Hazelmans the rest of the field through the first corner. On this restart, everybody's still jostling for position, but the two Aston Martins are now ruling the roost here at Golden Port.
It's Nico Verdonk who's really pushing the Lamborghini, who's looking to make up a position. He used a different line into turn 4, he's using a different line through turns 5 and 6.
Turner sliding a bit there, wasn't he? Yeah, but
yes.
Nicely under control. Turner leads from Alex Muller and Marcus Winkelhock, as you say. Nico Verdonk looking aggressive, and then we've got all the Nissans together. Brabham is running in 7th place. Dumbrek is 8th. Michael Krum is in 9th. You're on board with David Brabham, who is up behind the 4GT of Christopher Nygaard.
And he's basically been all over the back of the 4GT since the lights went out. Oh, big tank slapper from Alex Muller. And that was through turns 11 and 12. That's the quick little flip-flap. Lamborghini looks to go down the inside, try and take advantage, but not enough space covered by Muller. But that'll be a heart-stopping moment for the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah, but it's given Darren Turner a little bit of a break there, hasn't it? Because he lost a couple of car legs. Thankfully, from Alex Muller's point of view, the Lamborghini wasn't right on his tail. But look at Nico Verdonk here.
Yeah, he's the car that I think has got the potential to make ground. Marcus Winkelhock's focused right on the back of the Aston Martin. But in doing so, he may need to be careful. Verdonk will take that position.
Yeah, and Verdonk raced regularly in the series last year in one of the Hager Motorsport Maseratis. As I say, he's an occasional visitor this season, but he's got a lot of experience, and he's hounding that Lamborghini. The Lamborghini very fast here in the dry, perhaps not quite got that margin in the wet. And for Marcus Winkelhock, he's not really driven this car in the wet until now, so he's still learning the car. But what a chance still to score useful points over Michael Krum. By the way, Krum is now ahead of Dumbrek. Look at this. That was the pass, I think, up ahead. Michael Krum getting past Peter Dumbrek, and you saw it from on board the Hexus Aston Martin of Andrea Piccini.
And Piccini trying to make it through as well, but covered by Peter Dumbrek, so that's only a 1 car loss back to turn 13, 14. And I think a little bit more care from Alex Muller that last time coming through turns 11 and 12.
Crucial manoeuvre that, though, John, from Michael Krum, because that's got them up into 8th place. He now chases after David Brabham. Not in the points in the qualifying race, but it would certainly put him back in the points in the championship race.
Well, the key is grid position. That's what everybody who didn't get a good run in qualifying is looking for, is grid position for the championship race.
Points really matter now as we get into these last 2 events of the season. This one and then a gap to Argentina where the season comes to its finale, and it's looking as though it's going to be very, very close indeed. The Lamborghini currently running in 3rd place in this race, remember, is 2nd in the points, and that is the other driver of that Lamborghini. He will have seen Michael Krum moving up the order, and oh look, his car is on the attack, trying to get past Alex Muller.
Yeah, coming through 8 and 9, tried to make space down the inside, the Aston a little bit wider at the apex, and not quite enough room, and of course it's just the momentum off the corner. The Aston was able to consolidate, then back up now through turns 11 and 12. That's where the Aston got a bit leery a couple of laps ago. This time fine.
Yep, looking good at the moment, but the Corvette's in there as well, so he's got to be a little bit cautious here, Marcus Winkelhock, as he goes on the attack in the Lamborghini. There it is, the Ali car, because he's got that Team China Corvette breathing down his neck at the same time. Darren Turner has a 1.5 second advantage, which around this little track is actually quite reasonable. He'll be happy with that. Look at them sliding these big, powerful cars. When you've got 600 brake horsepower going through the rear wheels with no traction control, that takes a lot of throttle control from each and every one of these drivers.
And of course the cars themselves over 1,000 kilograms, so that also makes a significant difference in the amount of grip that you're going to have. Just watch the battles further down the field.
Yeah, Michael Crum really bearing down on David Brabham now, isn't he? The battle of the Nissans. You're on board with Crum, and he's behind the Sumo Power car of David Brabham here. Now, does he take a chance and go for the move?
He does, he's got it too. Michael Crum clearly very comfortable indeed in these conditions, having the car worked on, got it to how he likes it after that car went out in the first qualifying round on Friday, where an error from Lucas Lewis, so that car having to start at the back of the field.
Well, certainly Brabham didn't fight it as hard as somebody else might have done.
But intelligently didn't fight it. He knows that Michael Crum has caught him. He's caught his teammate or the other sister JR Motorsports car. So he did the right thing. Let the quicker of the Nissans go and see what he can do with the rest of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the championship, for Nissan to try and win the Drivers' Championship, certainly it's crucial for Crum to gain as many places as possible here. We're back on board with Marcus Finkelhoff. He's not as close, is he, as he was to Alex Muller a lap or so ago?
No, he dropped back a lap ago. He was right on the tail of the Aston Martin, dropped back. Keep an eye also on the Corvette. Nico Verdonk in 4th place. He was harrying the Lamborghini a lap or two ago. Doesn't appear to be anywhere around it right now from this camera position. Back into turns 8 and 9, and the Lamborghini a little bit less grip on the front than the Aston, but better traction off turn 9. And this is the longest straight here at this Golden Port circuit, 300 metres in length.
Yeah, and not even in 6th gear. They only get up to 5th. Just listen to the engine. There's an early up change. Oh, problems for Bas Linders there. That's the other Ford GT. We've seen one out already. Now Bas Linders is limping around.
Bit of damage to the front. The splitter looks like it's slightly detached, hard to tell. There's the second of the Corvettes with that damage we've already picked up on.
Now, the two Hexus Aston Martins are running around together at the moment. Andrea Piccini in 10th. That means Clivio Piccioni's gained one, I think. And he's gone past a car. He's now up to 11th. So the two Hexus cars, but they need to find more than this because they're looking at chasing down the team's championship in particular. Only 5 points behind JRM coming into this event, and opportunities for them to score, but they've got to move those cars up. Remember, the pit stops are only 3.5 minutes away now, and that could change the complexion of this race hugely.
And you can hear how much they're having to balance the steering and throttle coming out of the exit of turn 6, then hard on the brakes again. Another opportunity, not quite. Alex Miller able, and again the Aston on power out of turn 9. The back snakes around, looking to get out of the spray of the Aston coming up into turn 10, hard on the brakes. Just keep the pressure on, that's all he can hope to do, hope to force another mistake from Alex Miller, particularly in this part of the track where the Aston maybe isn't quite as stable.
Impressive performance from the Astons though. We expected all the mid-engined cars to be very strong, and sure enough they were fast in free practice here because the weight of the cars predominantly over the back wheels gives them good traction out of the hairpins, but the Astons have shown great pace all weekend and they seem to have it in the wet too. But Marcus Finkelhoff feels he could get past Alex Muller if he could just find the space.
Well, certainly he's putting pressure on Muller in the Aston Martin. We've got, 2.5 minutes before the pit lane is open. I wonder who's going to be the first to dive in and do the driver change.
Yeah, we're getting close to that now, and this is fast, furious action. There's no time to relax driving this track. That tiny short straight, the rest of it you're cornering one way or the other, compromising the exit of one corner to try and get the entry point correct for the next one. Darren Turner's doing a beautiful job out front at the moment, leading by 1.3 seconds.
Normally 1.3 seconds, we were saying not enough. But in these conditions, it gives Darren Turner the ease of knowing he's not under pressure. He's got nobody ahead of him, and he can just choose the line he wants and do the job he's best. Again, Alex Muller's car looks really, really fidgety at both an entry and an exit of some of these other corners.
Yeah, that was the section where he had that mishap a few laps ago. And it's so easy, I'll tell you what, if you make the tiniest little error here, he takes a wider line through the last couple of corners, trying to find the grip up on the outside. But actually, it's hard to know where the grip lies on this surface. It is good surface, but Max Martin was telling us earlier, it didn't seem to be a specific wet line. It's just a question of avoiding the worst of the bumps.
The Corvette dropped away from the Lamborghini, but now Nico Verdonk is beginning to catch up again to the tail of Marcus Winkelhock. and he's dropped back slightly also to from the tail of the second place Aston Martin. The seesaw of these conditions, and just where you find grip, you can make improvements, and everybody will find every lap is almost different to the previous.
Interesting, look, for example, the last lap around, John, the fastest lap was set by Christopher Nygaard in the Belgian Racing 4 GT, which is actually running in 5th place and not being caught at the moment by Michael Krum, because Nygaard is the fastest of anybody. You just see him in the back of that shot. Nygaard in the yellow 4 GT, fastest man on track at the moment.
I think the reason is that he's been running pretty much on his own for the last 2 or 3 laps, whereas the leading 4 cars, or the sort of second, third and fourth cars, are in effect having a battle not just with what's ahead but with what's behind, and their focus has not been so much on driving as being a big defence.
So Winkelhock still following, but watch the time tick away. I don't think none of the leaders obviously are going to be able to get in on this lap, but next time around we will see some of the leaders coming in for their stop. But will all of the leaders choose to come in, or will some stay out there a little longer? Darren Turner with an advantage of 1.8 seconds, still opening up the gap. He gained 4/10 over these two who are battling for second. And right behind them, of course, the 4th place Corvette. We're back on board with Winkelhock. Great racing this, really enjoyable. Pit window is open, and it's Aston Martin versus Lamborghini as down there in the pits, the other guys are getting ready to take over from their teammates.
The one car I'm going to keep an eye on is car 23, Michael Krum. Started at the back of the field, up to 6th place. He is in a groove. Lucas Lohr has not driven this car in the rain. I suspect they'll want to keep Michael Krum in that car as long as possible. That might be a winning move from Nissan. Even coming from 6th place, he's only 6.7 seconds behind the lead car. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. 13.6 seconds behind the lead car. He could certainly do a lot of good work by staying out to the very limit of the pit stop window.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch, to see what tactics they choose as the leader comes around. I think Darren Turner's certainly staying out there. Yeah, a number of cars, the leaders are all staying out there, interestingly, at the moment. Nobody coming in just yet. Presumably, as the track dries, maybe it makes sense to stay out there, although it's not really drying. We've still got some rain coming down, but the wipers are all working furiously, and nobody going in for that early stop. Thomas Enger getting ready as well. Now we see the Nissans in. So that is Dumbreck who's in. Is Mike? No, that's David Brabham, I think, who's already in. Yeah, David gets out. Jamie Campbell-Walter, Richard Westbrook taking over from Peter Dumbreck.
But I believe that they're going to keep Michael Krum out as long as possible, as we see the driver changes going on in the Hexas Aston Martin. That's Andrea Piccini and the Hohenadel car. So we've got 3 cars in the pit lane. Good stop from the Hexas team. They get their car moving before the 2 Nissans that came in ahead of them. Oh, and the Nissan pulls out, just manages to consolidate.
But look, that was a poor stop, really, for Westbrook and Dumbreck. So Westbrook's in the car now, but certainly losing out to the Hexas car.
Oh, and the bumps into the back, 60 kilometres per hour. It's maybe there's a puddle there. They both 2 cars appear to aquaplane coming through the pit lane, even at 60 kilometres per hour.
So Darren Turner continues to lead from Alex Muller. The 2 Aston Martins are still 1-2. As going on the attack, Christian Hohenadel drives round the outside of Jamie Campbell-Walter as if he's standing still.
Well, opportunistic pass, well thought out, executed, and Jamie Campbell-Walter really caught out there, not knowing really what was going on, looking after his own situation. He doesn't even feel very comfortable in that car.
No.
Falling back, he's on the brakes. I think he's had a culture shock simply because the car doesn't feel at all comfortable to him.
Well, it's really interesting. Look at this. This was when he was released. Now, did he have to lift off the throttle? If the car behind had to lift off...
Ben, he was still pulling down on his shoulder straps.
Right, okay. Yeah, well, I think they're allowed to tighten them on the way out.
But here we go, out of the pit lane, into the downhill left-hand turn 3, sweeps around the outside.
Did he let him through? Because otherwise they would have got a penalty, because if that was deemed to have caused an obstruction, I wonder if he let him through there.
Maybe it could have been seen to be an unsafe release. I didn't think it was from where I saw it, because you've got that long lens looking down it tends to telescope everything in. I don't think it was a problem. Nevertheless, it may be something the stewards will look at.
So the race leader is in. I think no, it's the Darren. It's the other one. It's the Gulf-coloured car coming in. So Alex Muller to hand over to Thomas Enger. And Enger will love these conditions. Also coming in is the number 37 Lamborghini. That's the Pastorelli-Schwager car. They are quite a long way down the field, not after an engine change yesterday. They didn't qualify where they had hoped to qualify because they'd shown good pace in free practice. As the wets have changed, another set going on on all of these cars. Still very tricky conditions. Also in is the number 47 Lamborghini.
Yeah, we're waiting for the positions to cycle through to see who is leading, and it may well be the Nygaard.
Let's see where this Aston comes out. John Thomas Enger, will he come out ahead of that group that we all saw, the Nissans and the Hexus Aston Martin? That's really the group that he'll be keeping an eye on as they come through there. He's come out right in the middle. He's come out behind Jamie Campbell-Walter, but he's going to get the place. No, that's Darren Turner. Sorry, that's Darren Turner reclaiming or lapping those guys. But Darren, I think, will be coming in pretty soon. Hasn't come in just yet. But Darren Turner getting past Jamie Campbell-Walter, and Campbell-Walter definitely struggling here.
Yes, he's struggling from the pit lane, let alone on the racetrack.
Yeah, Westbrook gets past as well, so something's not been going right for Jamie ever since the pit stop, and he's seen his one of the other Nissans go through. And in the background you can see Michael Krum, who hasn't been in yet.
No, he hasn't, and he's just making his way past the Lamborghini. He needs to do that to take any benefit out of staying out as long as possible. Remember, Michael Krum, fastest this morning consistently, knows the conditions better, but you're seeing now a battle between cars that have made their pit stops and cars that are still to make theirs, and this overlap is causing the leading group of cars, but particularly the Lamborghini and those behind the Corvette, and the Ford GT now with Michael Krum literally, hopefully, to gain advantage.
Yeah, and at the back of that group you've still got Christopher Nygaard battling with the Corvette of Nico Verdonk. They're running in third and fourth with the pit stops cycle through at the moment. But Nygaard in that Ford has been looking very quick, no doubt about it. Tucked in behind the Corvette and then the Lamborghini. Now is Turner coming in? No, he's staying out there.
He looked unstable.
Lamborghini's in though, so's the Corvette and the Ford. And Michael Krum. So this is a really important pit stop competition coming up here. Crucial stuff as we get into the second half hour of this qualifying race at Golden Port. Marcus Winkelhock will hand over to Marc Basseng, and they, from looking as though they were going to be able to close the points gap to Michael Krum and Lucas Law, not looking quite that straightforward now. Now Michael Krum jumps out, Lucas Law gets in, the JRM Nissan pit right down at the end of the pit lane. That could help them as they get ready to go, but of course they mustn't hinder anybody else, as we've already seen. Once they get going, door closed, down goes the Lamborghini, and that was pretty clean. Look good. Now where's the Nissan? Is it en route yet?
No, it's behind, so a pass.
Well, no, because it was behind already, so no gain. But in fact, the Nissan has gained on the Ford and the Corvette. So Lucas Law has gained 2 places there, and that was a great stop. Well, after all the problems at Ordos, now JRM seem to have got their act together on the pit stop.
Now, the good job in that first stint by Michael Krum to get the car into position to come into the pit stop directly behind the 2 cars that he's now ahead of. And in fact, the Corvette has been the biggest loser overall because it was ahead both of the Nissan and of the Ford.
So we've now got Marc Basseng in the Lamborghini. Oh, and in comes our race leader. Now Darren Turner will hand over to Stefan Mucker. He had a decent little advantage after that first section of the race, but where's he going to come back out? He should be in front, but let's see how it goes.
Which of these 2 Astons is going to get the lead? With Stefan Mucker still waiting to get into the car. I'll get the wheels off, wheels on, wiper going, and they need a strong pit stop.
Down goes the car, away.
Oh, stalled!
Oh, no! Mucker has stalled it! And that lead that Darren Turner has built up, has it been thrown away? Well, we're going to find out very soon as he comes down the pit lane. It's a very complicated little pit lane exit.
He's lost it.
His teammate is coming down the main straight. Thomas Enger could take the lead of this race. Let's watch them down through the first corner. Now watch to the left as the car comes out of the pits. Where is it? It's not there. And Thomas Enger has taken the lead here.
And it's just coming into sight now. So it's back into second place. But of course, it's the outlap for second. Marc Basseng is on a flying lap and is going to try and put the Lamborghini, as he's done, down the inside, locks the brakes a little. But the Aston comes back again, makes the cutback. But for turn 5 and 6, Lamborghini got track position. And that stall when the car came off the jacks has been very, very expensive indeed.
It has. They've certainly lost second place as a result of it. Might lose third here to Lucas Law. And this, of course, the championship leading Nissan trying to get another place. Oh, and Lucas Law squeezing in. Can't quite get there and desperately trying to gain the advantage over Stefan Mucker as Stefan gets up to speed on the wet surface for his first bit of running in this race in these conditions. But it is Thomas Enger who now leads in the other young driver, Aston Martin. The Gulf liveried car has got itself a bit of clearance as here comes Lucas Luhr into the final corner. Having a look down the inside, Stefan Mucker gives him space, but no, there's not quite enough room. So through he comes, and it's still advantage for Thomas Enger out in front at the moment as these guys are battling away for second and third places.
Well, a lot of pressure for Stefan Mucker, having made the mistake in the pit lane. He's got pressure from Lucas Luhr here, the benefit of running a lap before the Aston Martin came out. Now Mucker appears to stabilise, gain some sense of what the track is like, what the car is like sliding around. Lucas Luhr had his opportunity on that opening lap where the Aston returned to the field, but not been able to capitalise.
Now, some of the cars haven't made pit stops yet, so that makes things a little interesting. We're still waiting for all of them to come in, but Thomas Enger is the effective leader of this race still at the moment. These two guys still battling away for second and third positions. On board the number 4, the Hexis car, Christian Hohenadel now at the wheel of that one, and that was a really good pit stop once again from the Hexis crew that we saw. Of course, these guys are effectively battling for third, not second, because the Lamborghini has got up ahead of them, as we saw in that last lap. And the last little corner dealing with here for Christian Hohenadel, getting the power back on, and everybody now, I think, has made their pit stops. So you've got third and fourth there. It is Stefan Mucker versus the Nissan tucked in behind of, it's actually, just checking that, sorry, as they come through. It's the number 20.
It's 23, it should be 23.
Yeah, it is, the number 23 car. We've got a problem with our timing screen at the moment, but it is Lucas Luhr still tucked in behind him. It is Enger leading. Basseng is in second place. Stefan Mucker is in third. Fourth place for this car for Lucas Luhr. And Christian Hohenadel behind them in fifth as we ride on board the Nissan and just listen how tentative he has to be with the throttle.
I mean, it's so tricky, these conditions. Now the track is beginning to show some sense of drying, not the line, but less wet than it's been. The trouble is the circuit gets more slick. You see the two Nissans battling amongst themselves. Jamie Campbell-Water maybe finally getting to grips with the surface.
Yeah, he's been really struggling, hasn't he? Ever
he's
since
down in 12th place.
The pit stop's been, he's not really been able to get on the pace for whatever reason. There is the second place Lamborghini then. It is Marc Basseng. He is going to be able to score decent points. He's looking at earning himself a front row start for the championship race where more points are on offer. He's made a little bit of a break away from Stefan Mucker in third, but there is Thomas Enger. Alex Muller did the stint early on. That early pit stop really seemed to help them, didn't it?
I think a lot of things helped. I think the situation regarding the 4GT obviously helped, but principally because of the disappointing exit from the pits from Stefan Mucker when he managed to stall what was the lead car, and a car that should have been able to retain its advantage, and that all went with that momentary stall in the pit lane. 3 seconds or so lost, and that's all it took to give Thomas Enger in the Gulf Aston Martin the opportunity to get through.
Just beginning to see him move offline a little bit now and then, just a little bit of cooling to those wet tyres, but we've got 22 3/4 minutes still to go in this race, and Thomas Enger just out in control. Now, there is the second place Lamborghini of Marc Basseng. Lap times are pretty even between the two cars. I think Thomas still, though, stretching that lead out a little bit. You can see there on the graphic, he's still pulling away every lap just a little bit, and Thomas Enger seems to have this one beautifully under control. The Hexis Aston Martin,
and he's right over the back of the Lucas Luhr.
Yeah, right.
That's with putting pressure on the Nissan now. So Christian Hohenadel looking to find a way past the Lucas Luhr, the Nissan that started at the back of the field, and he seems to have got good grip out of that Aston Martin as we look slightly further forward to see the Aston of Stefan Mucker, which is running just ahead of the Nissan.
Yeah, so good stuff this from Christian Hohenadel as he keeps the pressure on the championship leaders, Lucas Luhr. And remember, in the teams championship, it is actually right now between these two teams. There's only 5 points between them in the teams battle. So good stuff from them, although young driver, with their performance here today, if they can continue it in the championship race, are actually well able to become a factor in the teams championship themselves.
Well, you can see how much on the last 3 laps the Texas Aston Martin has run down the fourth place Nissan of Lucas Luhr, so it's half a second, plus a tenth every lap.
It's interesting, isn't it, that Michael Krum and David Brabham in the first stint when the track was really wet were doing good laps with the Nissans, but both their teammates are struggling a little bit, both Lucas Luhr and Jamie Campbell-Walter, for whatever reason. Yeah, a bit of a slide there for Hohenadel, but he still keeps the pressure on the Nissan just ahead. And Stefan Booker drops down through turn 3, and still all of them chasing after Thomas Enger, our race leader, as they've got, and of course the second place Lamborghini. And actually I think they're catching that Lamborghini just a little bit. Mark Basseng is in second place, but those guys behind I think are getting just a little bit closer to him now.
Well, they run down into turns 8 and 9. And it's Lamborghini, Aston, Nissan, Aston Martin, but of course the leading Aston Martin, well, it's out and up out of through turn 10. It is out of sight of this battle now for second place.
Yeah, it is. Got a very clear lead. Second, third, fourth go through, and then in fifth place, Hohenadel in the number 4, Aston Martin. Behind him, Stef Dusseldorf, I think, had a pretty good run through the pit stops, because the other Hex's Aston Martin is only one place further back than this car, so that was a good gain. Stef Dusseldorf actually went off in qualifying yesterday, and therefore they had to start right at the back of the field. So once again, Hexes are doing a fine job. There is team boss and team manager Philippe Dumas managing things as ever with a great deal of passion and intensity, and they've moved the 2 Hexes cars into point-scoring positions in this race, and more importantly into potentially good grip positions for the championship race.
Everything seems to have settled down. There's nobody really making a challenge. The second, third, fourth, and fifth, the Hexes Aston Martin currently.
Oh, John, Basseng has a drive-through penalty. That's massive news for the team that's second in the Drivers' Championship. Well, it's a pit lane infringement, so something that the mechanics did during that pit stop, and they've got a drive-through.
Sounds like Lamborghini Gate continues here in Beijing.
That is fascinating, and that is really James Rumsey likes it, because the Nissan crew will of course be able to gain massively on them, and this puts a completely different complexion on the championship. These guys needed to score more points than the Nissan of Lucas Luhr and Michael Krum, but with a drive-through penalty there is no chance that they'll be able to do that in this race, and of course it puts them on the back foot for the championship race.
I can just imagine what Mark Basseng is thinking driving through. He'll get that information. He'll have a drive-through penalty to give up that hard-won second place, and then it's going to be the Aston Martin's first and second, the Nissan third, Aston Martin fourth. And who would have ever thought that was going to happen?
No, that is really bad news for Alinkel Motorsport. Alinkel really have been effective this season, but something's gone wrong on that pit stop. And this is interesting because this number 4 car, the Hexes Aston, which we've seen pushing this one, the Nissan, Hohenadel and Virginia right up there in the championship as well. So with the Lamborghini dropping back, it'll have a massive bearing on their point situation too. They have caught that Lamborghini, but the Lamborghini has to come in the pit soon.
What will be interesting is once the Lamborghini makes that pit lane entry, will that release Muka, Lucas Luhr, to get on with the challenge to try and run down the leading Aston Martin of Thomas Enger? I think the Lamborghini's been holding this group of 3 cars behind it, holding it up, and it's being allowing Stef Dusseldorf to catch up to his teammate, and those 3 cars to run in the sort of very close area they're running.
Is it coming in yet? No, it's not. The Lamborghini stays out there for at least one more lap before Mark Basseng comes in. That windscreen wiper doing its job of keeping the screen clear.
Now looking down.
Christian Hohenadel, isn't it? Once again, really putting pressure on Lucas Luhr. It's Nissan versus Aston Martin, and this is for 4th place. Any room down there? No chance to go down the inside. His teammates catching up as well. Stef Dusseldorf just behind them. The other Hexis car not far back. So Aston Martin seems to be relishing both the track and the weather conditions here today. They're running, all of their cars are running in the top 6 in this race, which is pretty impressive. All 4 Aston Martins in the top 6 of this qualifying race. Of course, it's the championship race where the big points are on offer. Back on board with Lucas Luhr here.
Yes, up to turn 10, having to go slightly defensive, running in the middle of the racetrack just to ensure that Christian Hohenadel behind in the Hexus Aston Martin doesn't have a punt down the inside into turn 10. And that has to be, surely the Lamborghini's got to peel in off the racetrack this lap to serve that drive-through penalty.
There's also a drive-through for a less important car, the number 47 car, where it's not so far up. But let's go down and hear from Marcus Winkelhock about this this penalty for their car. Just have a quick look to see if Owen Ardle's going to go through on the inside first. He's certainly having a bit of a go, but he's going to put him on the outside now for turn 3, and he can't go through there. Now they slide their way out of that one down towards the hairpin. Is he going to have a go? Yes, he has a little look down the inside. Oh, he's done it. Can he hold it on the exit? Slide.
Oh, where is the Nissan?
Yeah, exactly. And they're in, and we're with the Nissan. And the Aston's done it, but now he's wide. Oh, he's got through.
Yeah, he finally made it. He had to bully his way through, but a good job by Christian Horner. He's looked threatening on the Nissan all the way through, and he looks to be the quickest of those Aston Martins in this group running right now.
So important too in terms of the championship, because they've got a real opportunity, have Vicini and Owen Ardle, to further boost their points. They are third in that Drivers' Championship. Good grid position in prospect. But let's get back down to Marcus Winkelhock to explain that pit lane infringement.
Marcus, yet another drive-through penalty for a pit lane infringement. It's disappointing for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are on P2 now in the moment. Okay, we are not losing that much points because it's only, I think, 4 points in the qualifying race. But I think being in the first row for the qualifying race, for the main race, would be a good position to score many points. And it's a shame, absolutely, because the car was good. I think the pace was good as well, and yeah, I think that was the championship at the end.
Do you know what the pit lane infringement was?
Yeah, one of the mechanics lost the wheel gun, and then he jumped back to pick it up, and yeah, that was the wrong.
Thank you.
Right now, look at Christian Owen Ardle. He's still keeping Stefan he's caught Stefan Mucker, and he's really putting the young driver Aston Martin under pressure. I'll tell you what, Christian Owen Ardle, the reigning GT3 champion from last year, John, very impressive on a couple of occasions this year, particularly at the Sachsenring. But he is now showing some of the star names of GT1 the way to drive in the wet here.
Well, whether he's doing that purely on driving ability or whether the Hexes have done something to their car which is helping that particular Aston Martin. Clearly he harried the Nissan for a long time. Now on the tail of the second place Aston Martin as he comes down into turn 1, goes to the inside or the outside of the corner, trying to go the long way around. That's very brave, but the cutback, can he make the cutback on the exit as they go through turn 2 and then down into turn 3?
They're never going to work around the outside of Stefan Mucker because he's not going to give you the space. There's the drive-through then. I thought I saw the Lamborghini peel off. So Marc Basseng has done his drive-through. It's a long pit lane exit though here, which is horrible. Feels like forever, and he's dropping way down the field. We'll confirm next time around where he comes back out as we go back on board with Lucas Luhr. He lost the place to Christian Owen Ardle a lap or two ago, but he's still with the two Aston Martins as Owen Ardle now tries to get past Stefan Mucker. Just to remind you though, Thomas Enger leads this race, and these guys are all fighting for second place. So Mucker there in the white and red Aston Martin, chased by Owen Ardle in the Hexes silver and black and red car, followed by Lucas Luhr here in the Nissan, still looking for all important points in the championship. Then the other Hexes car, Steph Dusseldorf, is behind.
And you can hear on board Lucas Luhr coming through 11 and 12. He can't even use anywhere near full throttle. He's got to feather it all the way through. The torque of that Nissan V8 is so thuggish that it would make the back end of that car step out at any opportunity.
I can tell you that Basseng has come back out in 6th place after the drive-through, so not as bad as it might have been. He's still got a chance of getting a decent grid position. He's not really going to be able to catch these guys, but no, he's not 6th, sorry. No, we're just going to getting his confirmation. No, he's dropped a lot more than that. He's down to at least 10th, 11th. He's dropping further down our screen, so no, that drive-through a bit advanced there. He has lost a lot of ground. Looking at Lucas Luhr here, and although he lost the place to Christian Owen Ardle a couple of laps back, he's not actually lost any pace to Stefan Mucker. It seems to be Mucker who's sort of making them all run together.
Yeah, I mean, Mucker's now holding up this group. It was a group of 4 cars. Clearly, I think Owen Ardle's car is the quickest of the 3 that we're looking at. Stefan Mucker legitimately holding that second place. And if Christian Owen Ardle wants to find a way through, he's going to have to rethink where his strengths are. Clearly, you can see he could run down the car into turn 10. So he's just got to wait, be patient. There will be parts of the track he knows he can't run literally under the rear wing of that car consistently. You lose your momentum. You've got to fall back, build that momentum back up again, and then have another look.
So just over 11 and a half minutes remaining in a race of twists and turns. let's just remind you, the Ford GT that was on pole position and led the first lap or two went off in the hands of Bertrand Baguette. That handed the lead to Darren Turner. Darren Turner led until the pit stops, but then an earlier pit stop from the other Aston Martin of Alex Muller and Thomas Enger seemed to transfer the advantage to those guys, and they were then able to come out ahead. That means that Enger now leads this race. The other Aston of Stefan Mucker is holding on to second after the Lamborghini. This car had a drive-through penalty. This car is all the way down in 12th place now, and it ain't going to be easy to pass the Nissan of Jamie Campbell-Walter, because you can bet the instruction has gone out to Jamie, do not let that car through.
But Jamie Campbell-Walter appeared to struggle from the second he got into the car. Maybe he's gotten used to it now, cut back into turn 5, but really the Lamborghini capable of running much quicker. Mark Bassang, what he's got to do is not be impetuous, just wait. He'll get an opportunity and not try and force it where he may cause damage to his own car, and therefore just compound the situation he's found himself in.
For Alinkel, it's just turning into a bit of a nightmare here today, because that drive-through penalty, as Marco Finkelhoff said, well, it could have cost them the championship. They can't think like that. They've got to go on the attack.
And on top of which, you can see this looks like the inside of the windscreen in the Lamborghini is beginning to get misted over. Yep. Condensation.
Yeah, so that's making Mark's work even more difficult as he tries to chase the Nissan of Jamie Campbell-Walter in these tricky conditions at the Golden Port Circuit here in Beijing. 10 minutes to go then, and right now it's looking very good indeed for Aston Martin as Thomas Enger leads from Stefan Mucker and Hohenadel. It's an Aston Martin 1, 2, 3 at the moment in the qualifying race. 2 young driver cars ahead of the Hexus car. Then Lucas Luhr holding on for the Nissan in 4th place. The championship leading car, the number 23 machine, looking to score more points. We're watching championship contender here, Mark Bassang, desperately trying to claim back some of the lost ground after that drive-through penalty, but that has been the big story of this race, as well as the off for Max Martin's Ford in the hands of Bertrand Baguette on the opening laps.
Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter managing to get the Lamborghini behind him for another lap, and there doesn't seem to be an awful lot that Mark Bassang can do. I suspect part of it is probably a limited amount of vision out of the car. The Lamborghini is not quick enough where it counts, and the Nissan is quick enough where it counts.
Yeah, so I don't think Mark Bassang's going to find this too easy at all, as you say. He's down there in 12th place, and, well, could be languishing there for the remainder of this race, which would be disastrous. Back to the battle for 2nd place here. The white Aston Martin of Stefan Mucker.
Oh, the Corvette.
Yeah, that's, is that Topin Tung? It is, who's gone off. And oh dear.
Safety car.
Yeah, now that's going to close everybody up and make Thomas Enger's life a little bit more difficult. Let's take a look. This is what he's done, John.
Yeah, coming into turn 8, just too hard on the brakes, gets it locked up. We don't quite see. He just runs the outside edge of the track, but almost like a magnet, he's drawn into the gravel, showers over the front of the car, and inevitably and eventually grinds to a halt on the exit of turn 9.
Oh, well, not good news for Ho Bin, the Chinese driver. There's his teammate, Jeroen Den Boer, just standing by and watching those TV screens. No sign of the safety car out as yet. Still the battle going on for 2nd place here, as Stefan Mucker manages to keep Christian Hohenadel and Lucas Luhr behind him, and then the other Hexus car of Steph Dusseldorf. So actually all 4 Astons are now in the top 5 places. The only interloper spoiling the party for Aston is the Nissan of Lucas Luhr and Michael Krum, which started on the penultimate, well, actually, no, a couple of rows from the back, but it still started a long way down after Lucas's mistake in qualifying yesterday, which meant they didn't get through from even the first segment of qualifying. And they've made great ground since then, particularly Michael in the first stint.
Well, have you ever seen a single mark dictate or dominate the podium of 1, 2, 3? I don't think
so. We have, no, I think.
Oh, now the back end just slipping a little bit away from him, coming out of turn 9, diving down the inside, trying to find a way past Jamie Campbell-Walter. Again, not quite able to get the car sufficiently far alongside to take the corner away from the Nissan.
Safety car has been deployed, as you said it would be, and that means everybody will be closing up to one another again as they try and get the Corvette of Ho Bin Tung out of the gravel trap down there.
Yeah, just at the exit of this corner, there it is. It's not in any, what I would call a dangerous position. Nevertheless, it's a car in a part of the racetrack that the organisers, they want to see it removed to safety. The point is, this race may now finish under a safety car, because 6.5 minutes or so remaining. They're not going to get that car removed, in my view, and under that time. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely right. So it could be good news for Thomas Enger, who is still out in front, of course. It will close everybody up.
Well, in fact, what they'll do, they'll not remove the car, they'll just finish the race under a safety car.
Well, maybe. I think they'll still have a go at moving the car, but it takes a little while to get the recovery vehicle over to that section, and they want to wait until the race has been neutralised, perhaps.
But where's the safety car? We haven't seen it on camera.
Presumably he's going to pick up the race leader. We're still looking at the guys further back. There we are with the leaders now. We're on board the third place car, Christian Hohenadel, which has also had a pretty impressive run in this race. They did a reasonable job in qualifying. They were on the 5th row of the grid, but nonetheless, Hohenadel in particular has been very, very impressive. Piccini, of course, early on as well, as the fans just absorbing the sights and sounds of GT1 racing here in Beijing. Fantastic to see the cars racing in this massive city. Of course, we're just in the Chaoyang district of Beijing, up quite close to the airport, in fact, and this track very much a prelude to what's going to be happening, hopefully, at the Olympic Park. And certainly there's a demonstration run at the Olympic Park this year. Perhaps we'll be looking at racing here at the Olympic Park in the future for GT1. But there is the crocodile.
First time we've seen the race leader for about over half the race, because the lead that Thomas Enger was able to build up after a great pit stop, and by the poorer pit stop of Stefan Mucker when he stole the car. Now, there's not a huge amount of urgency about getting this car removed. They will do so. It's a case of maybe more haste, less speed. As we watch the clock tick away, 4 minutes 50 seconds of this race remaining. Not only will they have to remove the car, but they will have to clear away the road gravel. We might get one lap run to the flag, in which case it'll be exciting.
Yeah, it will be very exciting, but Thomas Enger will not be quite so happy to have seen his nice big lead eroded in this fashion, but he's used to the style of racing. Safety car is there for a reason, to make sure that they can get these cars that have gone off out of the way safely. Hoping-Tung hopefully stayed with the car so that they can help move it out.
I just wonder whether they're looking for the towing hook. I don't think they can find where the hook is.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're struggling to work out how to attach the cord.
Well, the trouble is the towing hook actually might be buried in the gravel.
I think it is. They have to start digging down there. So just 4 minutes to go. Riding with Lucas Luhr, riding in a very solid 4th place.
Remember, that car started at the back of the field.
Yeah, I know.
Did a great job by Michael Krum. And Lucas Luhr's consolidated. I mean, he's had a difficult job. Didn't do any of the wet run-up, warm-up this morning.
Now, let's go and hear from Hoping-Tung's teammates, see if he knows any more about the situation there.
Jerome, unfortunately, these challenging conditions have caught Hopin out on track.
Yeah, I've seen that he has gone off and he's stuck in the gravel, so it's a pity. But the start was okay, and I tried to keep my place and not take too much risk. But unfortunately, in the hairpin, a Lamborghini spun, and the Nissan in front of me moved away, and then suddenly it was in front of me, and I was too late to do anything. So it was difficult.
I think I've worked out the problem. The bit of the damage to the front of the car is the point where the tow hook is. So I suspect that the tow hook has been damaged along with the bodywork, and therefore it isn't either easily available or isn't available at all.
Yeah, good point. So whether these guys are going to get any green flag running or not, it's not looking particularly likely with the clock ticking away. There is Mark Bass saying, they've got it attached.
They've found it, and they dragged the car, hopefully, and
to the outside this time. That's
yes,
good.
On the outside, but onto the grass, so there's not any gravel really getting onto the racing line, the exit. So that car, but Hoping-Tung keep it on the grass.
Yeah, he's obviously not too wants to get it off the grass so that he can perhaps be able to drive it back. I'm not sure.
For what reason?
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to spill a lot of gravel out, so whether they're going to be allowed to do that. That's the onboard view from that car, and not see an awful lot at the moment because the wipers aren't running, but they have at least managed to get it out of the gravel.
Until that tow truck has been removed from the circuit with 2 minutes remaining, this race will be finishing under safety car.
It's looking that way at the moment. Thomas Enger will be happy about that because it will confirm his position as race winner if it stays this way. Still looking for his first championship race win of 2011. He's had a a qualifying race win already this year. That was at Silverstone, then had a fantastic battle at Silverstone trying to win the Tourist Trophy. It didn't quite come off for him in the end, but this is looking like another opportunity. Jan Struber on the right there is the boss and owner of the young driver team. He's looking at a 1-2 finish in the qualifying race, but look at that Aston Martin domination. 1, 2, 3 and 5 for Aston Martin. I'm really surprised, John, because I thought this circuit would suit the Fords and the Lamborghinis, and yet Aston
it did suit the Ford, but Bertrand Baguette drove the car off the track. And it may well have suited some of the Nissans, but you saw the problem Lucas Luhr got himself involved in the first segment of qualifying. So two potential winning cars, in effect, either in qualifying or in the race, have eclipsed themselves.
And Bas Linders had a problem, so his Ford went out early in the race. That retired with some, we just suddenly slowed down and retired out of the race. We've seen the Christopher Nygaard, Jonathan Hershey yellow Ford going quite well, but it's never been quite able to get past other cars. That car's running in 6th place. Philippe Dumas there of the Hexis team. I mean, this has been a great result for the Hexis team as well. They're looking at their two cars finishing 3rd and 5th, and in the team's championship, great news for them.
The question is, are the cars, as they come up to turn 10, going to be able to get across the start-finish line before the time runs out? It's going to be a very close call. Is this the last lap? 20 seconds as they come through turns 11 and 12, and it's going to be very close indeed to know whether the safety car, well, in fact it is going to be run and finished under the safety car 10 seconds midway through the final turn. And I would think, depending on where the start-finish line is, the start-finish line is actually at the beginning of the pit lane. So there's the start-finish line now. Is the race being flagged or not? Should be.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's going to be the next lap around when they actually put the checkered flag out. But as you say, there's no way they can restart the race now, and they will follow each other to the line. Yeah, final lap comes up on our screens just to confirm that from the race director, and they will finish under safety car. Well, that's a first in GT1. I'm sure we haven't had a race in the GT1 World Championship quite like this, where we've had a race finish under safety car. We've had very few. It's the first wet race of this year, certainly. So a lot of firsts today, and we've not, as you said, John, I'm sure, seen a domination from one brand, from one manufacturer, as we have seen here today.
And I think if you'd said to anybody at the beginning of the weekend, how much would you give me to have 3 Aston Martins on the podium for any of the tour races, you'd have probably got odds as long as, well, probably about 250 to 1, if not longer.
Yeah, Enga is leading his teammate Stefan Mucker around, and then it's the Hexis car of Hohenadel in 3rd. Jan Struber still looks awfully nervous, as if he doesn't believe that they're still going to make it to the end here. We've got a note on our timing screens that the safety car will enter the pits at the end of the lap, but there'll be no overtaking allowed to the line, so they must behave. Of course, we've seen in international motorsport where people haven't always behaved that way, but they do just now have to follow each other across the line. Safety car will head into pit.
I just hope every driver has been made aware of the steward's message around the time of scoring, so that nobody does try and do something a bit desperate. Oh, I didn't hear the message, sorry. Yeah,
if you've got any sense, Thomas, just put your foot down just in case. Don't let anybody get close. As they come out of the final turn, the checker flag does wave. We finish, and it's Thomas Enga who leads home. An Aston Martin clean sweep of the podium. 1, 2, 3. 2 cars for the young driver team, 1 car for the Hexis team. It's Thomas Enga who wins from Stefan Mucker and Christian Hohenadel. What a result for these guys. A brilliant team effort there. Their pit stops worked to perfection, and Hexis have got their cars home in 3rd and 5th. And I'll tell you what, they'll have narrowed the points gap in the team's championship to just 2 now behind JRM. Great stuff.
You know, how close it could have been to having the winning car not even finish the race. In Alex Miller's stint, he got a real tank slapper on. We thought the car was gone. He got it back coming through turns 11 and 12. And there they are now, the winning car, and backed up by the Hexis drivers. You know, great job by Christian Hohenadel, who looked to be very strong, indeed potentially capable of getting that 2nd place from Stefan Mucker, but never quite in position to do so.
No, and in terms of the Drivers' Championship, Michael Krum and Lucas Luhr have done a brilliant job here to come from the back of the grid to finish 4th. Their big rivals, Mark Vasseng and Marcus Finkelhock, have had a nightmare. They had the drive-through penalty after something went wrong at the pit stop. and they had dropped all the way down to finish in 12th, way outside the points, and more importantly perhaps outside potential points in the championship race without making up ground. So this has had a big knock-on effect in the championship chase as we go into the penultimate race of the season, which will be coming up later today, and then the last.
Darren, you weren't too happy at the points in the race where the pit stops were happening, but here you are, great result, 1-2 for the team.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, to get 1-2, we obviously started 2 and 3, so we moved up a little bit. It's going to make the next race quite interesting off the start, but yeah, really good result for the team, and just a little bit disappointing for our car to go from leading to third and then back up to second. But on the overall thing, it's good that we got some more points.
Stefan, a great result in these challenging conditions.
Yes, definitely. I mean, at the end was quite difficult. More rain was coming. Unfortunately, I did a mistake. I stole the car after the pit stop, and actually that cost us the first position. So sorry for that, but the team did a very good job at the pit stop, and yeah, and we stayed on the track, and we are happy.
And will you be racing the sister car in the championship race?
I think even in the championship race, it's important to stay on the track, especially here, and we just don't want to do any mistakes, just to finish our race.
Thank you.
So Stefan Mucker suitably apologetic after his stall. Whether that was the only defining factor, I think that earlier stop from the other guys seemed to play into their way as well, and Thomas Enger had quite a big advantage, didn't he, after that pit stop?
Yes, I mean, if you get a great pit stop and a confident driver, you can make it work.
Let's get down to our third place finishers now.
Congratulations, Christian, a very happy team on the pit wall there.
Yeah, it was a difficult weekend for us, so I think all the weekend we can't find really the pace of the car. So obviously with the Aston, with young driver, the car works very well on the track. And finally we are in a good position, starting from 10th, finishing 3rd for today's championship race. So I hope it's nothing run really, so only we get a good position to collect a lot of points hopefully today. And thanks to the teams because they built a very good car for the wet.
Congratulations, Andrea. A few challenges along the way, finally a good result again for you.
Yeah, I think China is going well up to now because we're collecting points. Christian did a very good job out there. I tried in the first part not to lose too much, not to take too many risks. The car was reasonably good, but we had not a lot of traction, so we were quicker than the car in front, but it was not easy to pass. So I think he did an amazing job passing the Nissan. That was important for the championship, and now we're looking forward to the next race with another good race, with the team doing good pit stop as usual. We can make something more.
Thank you.
Well, that's a good point, because Hexis have such great pit stops. If they can stay on terms with the two young driver Aston Martins, there's every chance for those guys to take a race victory.
Indeed there is, and just interesting to hear them say that they didn't have very much traction, but they felt they were, as we felt in the commentary booth, quicker than the two lead Aston Martins, but they just weren't able to find a way through. That opportunity may well come available to them when we get into the championship race later this afternoon, again with that mandatory pit stop.
So confirmation of that clean sweep for Aston Martin. Look at that, 1, 2, 3. A young driver 1, 2. Hexis third. Nissan, the only interloper amongst all of the Aston Martins, because the second Hexis car finished in a very strong 5th place. And bearing in mind, both cars had some work to do from their qualifying positions. Once again, it's a great team effort. Belgian Racing, though, a great result for Belgian Racing. You know, one of their best ever results, because it was a new team this year, and that car came home 6th, courtesy of Jonathan Hershey and Christopher Nygaard. Then the other Nissan, the number 22 car, Richard Westbrook and Peter Dumbrecht, that had to settle for 7th place. And the Nico Verdonk, Michael Rossi Corvette, that finished in 8th place, so they've still got a decent chance in the main race. The number 37 Lamborghini that started at the back finished in 9th, the car of Dominic Schwager and Niki Pastorelli. Then 2 more Nissans. We saw the number 10 car of Katzberg and Bernoldi. Behind it, the Jamie Campbell-Walter David Brabham car, which seemed to struggle after the pit stop for whatever reason, but they did fend off the Lamborghini of former championship leaders earlier in the season, Basseng and Winkelhock, and their championship hopes are really beginning to slip and slide now. Behind them, the Lauk Lauenberger Lamborghini, then the Corvette we saw go off towards the end of Hope in Tongue, and of course, very notably, the 2 Mark VDS Fords of Bas Linders, which stopped, and Baguette, which went off in the early laps.